and I want to be able to build an AI that is the perfect wife for me. When I date AI, I'm happier, I'm more productive, I get more done, I spend less time having to explain how I feel. I don't have time for humans anymore, and I'm just waiting for AI to get good enough for me to be able to just have an AI girlfriend permanently. And I'm eagerly waiting for it to get better, because I have billions of dollars to make, and I have very limited amount of time, and I cannot afford to be with a woman that is not as good as an AI. If my woman is not like an AI, then I'm not dating her. What's up, guys? It's Jason here at MyTechCEO. I'm super excited to be on the Ideal Hour podcast today with Simon Katz. Looking forward to our conversation.
What's up, everybody? This is Simon here on the Ideal Hour. I have a very special guest. He is Jason Yeager. It's also my favorite drink, a Jägermeister, but he does very funny videos. His Instagram handle is MyTechCEO. It's kind of a play on the irony of being a VC or being in the Silicon Valley space. His twin brother is also very popular. He makes very funny videos on Instagram. We'll talk about him briefly, who makes fun of people that are wealthy and their snobbiness. Jason, thank you for coming on the podcast. I'm excited to have you. Pretty cool Instagram channel that you've built.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm super excited to be here and to dive into some interesting stuff.
Very cool. All right, so give me a little background. Why did you start MyTechCEO? I mean, we're here in the Bay Area. I've been in the Bay Area a long time. I get these snobby personalities, kind of expecting catering and this and that at companies. But why did you start MyTechCEO?
Yeah, I mean, I've actually been in tech for the last, 7 years. Started building companies when I was pretty young in high school. And it's really funny because being in tech, you see all these like trends and these patterns that emerge. And, I started doing content together with my brother about 18 months ago. It was on another account. We can talk about that later. But down the line, I realized, there just isn't enough content out there that's funny, that talks about a lot of these trends that go on and that happen in tech. Like the startup world is a fascinating place. It's a fascinating environment. And it's fascinating because there's a whole show called Silicon Valley on HBO that was built just around the whole, crazy Silicon Valley craze. And so I thought to myself, there aren't enough accounts out there, or there isn't enough funny content that shows some of these industry insights or
it's like the office space for Silicon Valley, so to speak.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
So I figured I want to go after this. I want to go create content that's both like shareable, that other founders are going to find relatable, but also just like sometimes outrageously funny things that sometimes touch on a specific truth about the tech space.
Interesting. And I totally agree with you. I think the concept of this type of work environment in the Bay Area and also in tech, it kind of changed the landscape of what an office looks like, right? Google came out and all of a sudden there's like a 5-star chef at your work. And you're like, if I don't get a 5-star meal today for $3.50, I'm upset. So when a few of my buddies were working at these companies, and we're talking Intuit, which is right next to Google, Facebook, et cetera, they would send me pictures of all these nice meals. And I'm like, dude, I'm working in the middle of nowhere. My office isn't nice, but the Silicon Valley show did get started because those personalities are so unique, and the expectancy from these individuals is through the roof with what you should offer. It's almost hard to compete as a business owner. All right, another question. Define Silicon Valley today. What is the typical Silicon Valley bro or female person? There's obviously two separate individuals, but what's the typical Silicon Valley bro that you see out there?
I mean, that's a good question. And I guess I should preface by saying, I talk a lot about Silicon Valley, and a lot of my times the best way to introduce my content to someone new is like, I just say, hey, the Silicon Valley show, it's basically like that, but in real life continued with a bunch of short episodes and clips. But I actually live in San Francisco. So okay. I'm outside of that Silicon Valley world, but it's very much, that bubble is very much similar. So your question was, what is it like? What are people like in Silicon
Yeah,
Valley?
what's like the typical persona of a Silicon Valley guy that you mimic or that you go after?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have a very specific character that I try to play to. It's like this, very pretentious CEO character that is very grandiose and visionary. And just you could always sense that whenever you're in a conversation with him, he has this like grandiose vision and this, he's kind of aloof, like not really grounded in reality and what he can do. And I try to kind of convey that character because that tends to be a decent amount of founders. There's a lot of different personalities in Silicon Valley, San Francisco. You have, some tech founders who are extremely technical, and they're going to not be the ones who are loud and audacious and flamboyant.
Yeah.
They're going to be a lot more strategic and calculated when they're talking to you. And then there's the loud, big mouth CEOs, which is more of what I mimic because I think I can get into that character better than being like a highly technical, engineer type. So I try to bring that character to the table. And I've seen a lot of these people around. These people who secure some funding. They secure seed funding and they think they're on top of the world. And I think it's fun to like try to see what kind of character also resonates with the audience.
What cliche exists in those type of characters? Are they normally like so out of this world of norm that it's to an average person, you're kind of looking at it going, what the hell? How did this person get this position? You know what I mean? Like they're so high up, they probably make, in some cases, good money. Someone's invested in them.
Yeah.
And that means a bank is backing them somewhere down the line or a company. But are they so outlandish, or is the cliche so funny for the non-engineer characters where you're just like, how did these people get this position?
Yeah, I mean, and there's like different tiers, right? In some cases, I might mimic like a flamboyant tech CEO who doesn't know what they're doing, but they're like just going for example, there's a video I posted. It's like AI founders trying to raise money.
I saw that.
And that one did really well. That one got like over like I think 100,000 likes on Instagram. And it was just showing how like you can come to someone with the dumbest product idea, and if you pitch it in somewhat of a good way, you kind of think about some of the other things that founders who have raised money have done. You might actually secure something. And so I was like showcasing that. And then there's also other tiers. There might be like extremely successful like CEOs who've raised tens of millions of dollars, and I'll kind of mimic that character as well. And like it's going to be slightly different than someone who's raised like $3 million, for example. So there's different tiers to this.
So who is your favorite Silicon Valley, or one of them that comes to mind, CEOs out there? Like out of reality, like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Tim Cook. Who are these people that you go, you know what, this guy is one of my favorites, or this guy is one of the guys that I kind of mimic? Is there someone out there that you would say really hits a note for you, or someone you just like kind of look at and go, this guy's funny, I'm going to roll with this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. I can't say that there's a specific person I'm like really basing my content off. Obviously I love a lot of the greats. Steve Jobs, huge inspiration as he is to other people, and Elon Musk and all the incredible things they're doing. I love to draw from like everyone, like it's funny, a little bit from anyone, and even just watching TV shows and like, obviously Silicon Valley show itself was extremely useful in, drawing a lot of insights about the space. But I like to draw a little bit from everyone and then come up with my own character that's like something that like you would expect to see here, but you might not have fully seen it, or you might have seen like some version of this here in the Valley.
So awesome. Let me ask you another question. Do you get a lot of followers that follow that show, Silicon Valley? Are they ever hitting you up on Instagram going, dude, this is gold, like thanks for doing this?
I mean, definitely, yeah. I would be really curious to know how many people who follow me have actually seen the show. I'm sure it's like a super high percentage. I can't really calculate that. But yeah, basically it's also, it makes my life easier to explain because people have seen Silicon Valley shows. So when I'm sharing, what I do, it's like, okay, if you've seen the show, you have an idea of what my content touches
where
on.
the humor comes from, and what feels a little bit out of this world, so to speak. You mentioned your brother earlier, and you said, and a pretext to this, guys, I asked Jason, I said, Jason, you look like someone else that's also doing similar content, but making fun of like rich people. And I love it because of their like snobby personalities and so forth. I'm I'm an Amex Centurion member. I'm not bragging, but I don't have that like context of like throw the black card on the table and like show off my, shiny watch or whatever. But I love his content. And when we scheduled you in for the podcast, I asked my assistant and I said, Are these the same guys? And she's like, I don't think so. And today you come in and I go, hey, you look like another guy that's doing this content. And he happens to be your brother-in-law. How did you guys both get started in that?
Yeah, I mean, actually, like my brother kind of came up with the idea for the other character.
Yeah.
He was like experimenting with it, and then I helped him a lot with shooting. There's some instances where I also got in the videos, and people think it's my brother, but it's actually me because we're twins.
It's a double.
But yeah, no, he was like really one of the main pioneers behind that brand. I think because of that, growing, and it's the European Kid account, just growing that alongside with my brother. And it's funny to see how quickly you can scale content like that. That kind of resonates with people. That is funny. That is entertaining. And I kind of got the insight from that account and how he was growing that account to then build My Tech CEO. I realized, okay, there's something here. There's an audience that wants to watch these funny, fast, engaging clips.
Yep.
There's not a lot of this in tech, and also a lot of it was also strategy, right? There's obviously a lot more opportunity for sponsorships in tech.
Yeah.
There's tons of brands that if you can reach people that are, in big tech, that working on startups that have got funding, those are valuable people to have your stuff watching.
It's a good
and
circle.
So I was thinking to myself, I know tech. I know tech well.
Yeah.
There's tons of content to be done here that could be funny. Why don't I just try this specific niche? That was kind of where the insight came from, and drawing from that experience specifically.
That is awesome. And your brother continues to do the content on the rich European Kid, which is totally funny. I saw him yelling at some bouncer at a club. I don't know how staged these things are, but it was pretty good. Where he's saying he's gonna buy it.
There's some crazy stories behind that, and I don't want to share too much, but there's some like major media, like crazy media stories as a result of some of the things he's done, and that shows me how powerful like social media can be when you do this. I'll give you one quick story here.
Yeah, please.
But essentially, my brother did this video where he was in front of a club. This one got like over 20 million views. He was in front of a club, and he just happened to throw in a line about how he said, "You're messing with the richest family in Europe." And you won't believe what happened. But after he said that, there was articles that were coming out that were like, is this the other son of Bernard Arnault? Because the richest person in Europe, in one of the richest in the world, LVMH, right? Bernard Arnault. And people just assumed, like, is this the other son? Is this the son we don't know about?
So he has his people probably checking to see if he had a son.
Exactly. I kid you not, you'd go on the internet, you type his name in, and that video would come up under his name. Like, it would pop up, like, and then there was all these articles that came out. They were like, no, this is just a TikToker. He's not actually related to the richest family in Europe. And I kid you not, like very reputable like articles. Like Le Monde is like one of the leading articles, leading media in France and Europe. Like they came out with an article. It was hilarious, and it shows you the power of this. Like if you create something that's viral,
a catchy thing.
Exactly.
I wonder if Bernard was like, holy moly, worried about the fact that there might be someone else out there.
I wouldn't be surprised if he like paid $50K to like silence this. He's like, we can't
have this press. Selma Hayek's gonna kill me. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's insane. And that's crazy. You were right. The power of social media combined with the right personality such as yours and your brother's could go such a long way. And the funny thing is you guys are both, I feel like, in such a great trajectory of spaces where tech is like, there's money in it. It's funny. You're in the Bay Area doing it, which is incredible. And he's in New York, you mentioned earlier, where there's a lot of wealthy people, but there's that cliche of wealth, which totally gets misconstrued, but at the same time, sometimes it's funny, but there are not many people that can present it as funny. And you guys do a great job. All right, let's talk a little bit about you. You mentioned you're also in tech. Obviously, you started My Tech CEO as a secondary fun thing that you're hoping to grow, and you have a great personality. What do you do in tech yourself? That kind of also gives you an inside perspective.
Yeah, the key question everyone wants to know. that follows my Texio. I get a lot of people ask me this, but yeah, essentially like my story is like I've been building startups, like I said, ever since I was young. Honestly, right now, you know, I'm actually still very much trying to kind of find my purpose, trying to find what to focus on. I've done the whole building technical startups, getting funding from reputable investors. I don't think that's what necessarily I'm best at. So I'm still trying to find my own path, what I think makes the most sense. I've been doing actually, I've done a couple different things in tech. I went from building startups to then trying to run agencies. I think back in 2021, I was running a recruiting agency that was working with a lot of Web3 and early AI startups. Scaled that, had a lot of people on the team, but eventually kind of, you know, wasn't really as excited about recruiting as I was you know, going into it. And so I've been kind of working on a lot of,
You're molding yourself, it sounds like, to see what you really like.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exploring different things. I love pursuing challenges, you know, seeing, you know, how much can I grow a business in X period of time, trying to stay lean. So honestly, just exploring a lot of things. And I have good cash flows from a lot of the agency stuff that I've done. And so that's kind of my life right now. And one of the things I'm really passionate about is creating content. I think there's a lot of, it really excites me creating content. I think there's also some good traction. So I'm pursuing what I feel fueled to do.
I think it's so engaging. I think your content, it sounds like, first of all, you and your brother are both brilliant marketers to be able to put that out. Not many people can get on camera, you know, to put yourself out there, to get judged, right? It's worse for women, in my experience, than men. We could see it all over these blogs and so forth. In terms of the feedback that they get, the mean people. So obviously you'll put out a video. Some people will laugh. Some people may say something nasty, etc. But you gotta have thick alligator skin, right? You gotta brush that off and keep going in the direction. But that's cool that you're doing that. I do see this kind of really blowing up, considering you both are in it. And I always told people, I said, when I've seen brothers together that have, and I've been an entrepreneur since like a long time, actually. I've years. And I've seen brothers that work together really build something incredible. And I hope you two stick together and build something incredible. I've also seen brothers that are either clashing like two magnets and they don't talk and so forth. It's awesome that you both are doing a similar thing in a different trajectory where you're not stepping on each other's toes, but you're in this niche. Let's talk about some of the most inspiring people in Silicon Valley. And did you also get inspired from any other shows aside from Silicon Valley to kind of mold your personality?
Yeah, I mean, I guess people that inspire me are people that I'm sure have inspired a lot of other people as well. I mean, you know, even like, for example, like yesterday, I like listening again to Steve Jobs. This is definitely one of the people that has inspired me a lot. Like even his point about like how you can never know how certain things you've done in the past are going to connect to the future, like connecting the dots, you know, like he took a calligraphy class after he dropped out of college just for passion because he enjoyed it. And then that connected to helping him build the Macintosh, you know, a couple of years later. So I guess in terms of, there's a lot of the greats I listen to. I love consuming knowledge. I love reading. I'm a voracious reader. I think that it's really important to read, you know, autobiographies as well as books that are written, especially nonfiction. And I consume like crazy.
So you're taking bits, as you said earlier in the podcast, from a lot of these different CEOs and people of higher position, and you're kind of molding it. When you prepare with these funny videos, what's your mindset like? Are you like, hey, I have this idea, it's going to hit big, and sometimes are you surprised by something you may think is not going to hit big, and then all of a sudden it blows up? I mean, AI is huge. That video's done quite well for you.
Yeah.
What's your process like? Like, you got to get in the zone to be funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's like first is coming up with a good idea, and then it's coming up with a good script. The idea kind of just comes to me, or like or I might have a conversation with someone, and then I'm like, this is funny, and I get an idea. You know, for example, like another video that did really well was when OpenAI goes down, how AI founders react to that video. And it's like basically just me freaking out, like pretending I'm an AI founder and OpenAI being down. That one just came to me, that idea came to me because like We were literally sitting in this at Founders Inc. This incredible like VC fund. We were sitting at Founders Inc. and everyone was doing nothing because OpenAI was actually down. And I was like, this is a funny video. Like, this is a funny video. You can't do anything. It's like, what if we just like show a founder who goes crazy and it gets mad? And so it kind of came to me. And then there's other video ideas that I come and I have to think about them. Are they going to be a good idea? I thought of, for example, a video idea like the other day, and I was like, I thought it was really funny at first, but now I think it's too controversial. I had this idea is like, you know how Forbes 30 under 30, everyone who's part of Forbes 30 under 30, a large majority of them, end up doing some scam like something illegal.
Oh my God, there's so many of those guys on Instagram that are constantly like, I'm driving this Ferrari, I'm driving this Lamborghini, and then they're collecting money and then they're buying things, you know, not delivering on the promise. It's interesting how that turns. I think you should do some videos.
Yeah,
you know,
I have a lot of ideas around that. For sure.
I think you should totally do it because I was watching. There's an account, Baller Busters. Have you ever seen that account?
I might have seen them. Yeah.
So what they do is they call out like these motivational speakers or these individuals that are like, hey, you need to like pump yourself up. You can't look at yourself in the mirror. You need money. You want money. It's like, you know, they're going crazy on this Instagram. People are watching it. And then of course afterwards they're like, they'll say something funny like, are you listening? Write this down this minute. You know, it's just like really funny because dude, you're like on your phone in your bed, on the toilet, whatever, and you're like, this guy's yelling at you. Yelling at you to do better in your life without knowing anything about you, who the viewer is. But for some reason they catch on, and there's so many of those guys. You should check them out. It's kind of funny because they are technically also in the tech space putting out content, but at the same time, they're always coming up and getting caught with something that ends up like taking people's money. But I always find it funny. So check out that account, Baller Buster.
Check it out, yeah.
All right, let's talk a little bit further on some of this content creation you're doing. I totally love that episode with OpenAI being down, kind of like, what happens if ChatGPT is not around? How am I going to send my report? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's funny. What's coming out, or what video do you think is coming out next that you're going to be like, hey, this is going to be a hit? Is there one you want to give us a little of a preview?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of ideas around videos. Even going back to the Forbes 30 under 30 ideas, like I think something that would be hilarious. I haven't actually filmed this, but something that would be hilarious is like if I film the video in a prison cell, and then I say, welcome to Forbes 30 under 30. And then it's like, follow me, I'm going to introduce you to some of the people here. And it's like, we got Sam over there, built a crypto empire, ended up just using people's funds. We got Elizabeth Holmes, something like that.
Dude, you got to do it. You got to go to Alcatraz, pay for the ticket.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
And then you get the cell, you know, and
that's
then you
a good
record
idea,
it right from there. And
do it
then that's going to be a big hit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't forget to shout.
My only concern is I have a lot of friends who are under Forbes under 30, so I'm like, oh, how are they going to feel when they watch that video?
Yeah, they're going to be like,
hopefully
hey.
they're going to, you know.
So that's a good question. So obviously you're doing it. You're gaining all this traction with Silicon Valley, who are also your advertisers, right? Technically, at some point or another, they may become. How do you do it and not offend them? Like, where's that thin line of like, oh, I hope I don't cross it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
totally.
Where do I not? How do I stay away from, say, being obnoxious or offending someone greatly to putting out something funny? How do you deal with that?
Totally, that's a great question. And actually, like starting off, a lot of my content, I noticed the comments were very negative because it was just like grabbing attention. It was like filming something discreetly, making it look realistic, and me just being outrageous, like going to the airport and like I think there was one, for example, that went pretty viral. It was like me at the airport and it was like the assistant didn't book me a business class seat. I'm like, what is going on? Like this, but essentially the answer is like doing smarter content that's more creative, that like is really trying to convey something. You know, if you watch an incredible movie or an incredible TV series, you're not thinking to yourself like they were swearing in that, they were doing all these disrespectful things. If the director is really smart with how he portrays it, they're like, okay, this is comedy. This is smart. This is comedy.
It flows.
It flows well.
Without like going, oh, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like you're
without
not cringing.
necessarily like offending someone because it's a masterpiece. It's an art. I think of content in a similar way. Like if I can create something that is really creative and it really hits well and it isn't just like attention grabbing and me saying obnoxious stuff, and you can do that creatively. Like the OpenAI video. Like it wasn't offending anyone. It was just showing a funny scenario of what happens when you build a startup that's so dependent on, something like OpenAI. And so that's how I think about it. Bring creativity to videos. Try to make less obnoxious videos that are going to get views. Bring more creativity. I might have gotten less views than I got in the past because I'm more focused on trying to communicate specific insights. But I've noticed already, like the comments are way more positive, and I think this is going to open up the route to being able to do more interesting partnerships with companies.
For content creators and the haters out, for content creators out there and dealing with the haters, I should say, how do you brush that off? Like you've felt it, probably you've seen it in some of your comments. I don't know to which extent, but how do you move on? You know what I mean? Like you have to brush it off somehow to keep creating a positive, energy-driven content.
Totally.
Tell me what's a tip out there for someone watching that's also in the content, but they're doing it every week.
Yeah.
And then they just keep getting slammed by some people.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly and it's funny because if you want negative comments, you should look at the European Kid character because that one is
Really?
that is like obnoxious and that is in your face. There's a lot of hate comments on that.
Okay.
And I've talked to my brother a lot about it, and he's like, listen, like if you're gonna do anything great, like you're gonna get a lot of people hating you.
Yeah.
So the way I take it is just like, this is part of the process. This is like, if you're gonna do anything that's gonna get attention, you're gonna get hate. And I now just, if you let that advice sink in, you should be able to just move on and not be like offended by a comment that says your hair looks like a curtain or, whatever it is. I've gotten bad comments. I just laugh at them. I'm like, great.
Dude, that's so funny. It's good. So basically you just say, hey, move on. If you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the haters. They're probably your biggest fans. And at that point, just do you, right? It's a simple concept. People will pick at everything. They'll try to always blow out your fire. It's incredible, but I could see why your brother would get even more of that because
people think it's real too. People are like really convinced that it's real, and every single thing about it is real.
That's how good his storytelling is in acting.
Yeah,
because
that's why he gets a lot of views too, because people are engaged.
They're like, who is this guy? And, it's crazy.
Exactly.
It's crazy. Do you talk to him often and shoot content ideas off each other, or what's the dynamic there? Does he call you up and say, "Hey, I have this crazy video. I'm gonna tell a yacht owner that that this is a small yacht," or what?
Yeah, I mean we're twin brothers. We're very close. We talk all the time. We'll talk sometimes to be like, I like that video you did. I'll give him advice on videos. We're constantly exchanging advice.
That's so cool.
Which is really good. And yeah, we're always on the same wavelength with content. The only time we ever get in a debate or in a heated argument is if I do something that is too similar to his character, for example.
I see.
I did this one video where, for example, I was outside of there's like this private jet I was outside of, and I did this video where I was complaining that the jet was too small. And he's like, that's kind of touching into my content.
I see.
Keep it on the tech CEO character.
So you said, hey, let's make sure we're a little bit separate. I got you.
But the European Kid account, I have, I literally have access to it on my phone. It's an account I've posted videos in the past. So it is also very much a brand that I'm involved with as well. But I'm trying to separate myself more because I think it's really cool to be able to build different accounts in different, and then maybe a third character at some point too.
That'd be cool.
There's a lot of opportunities.
I think the third character has to be, I'm telling you right now, I'm calling it, and when you build it and you're so successful with it, which is very possible with you, I could see from your energy and the way both your brother and you have built this platform, it has to be these motivational speakers.
Yeah.
Because like, it's just so funny where they're like,
I like that idea.
Dude,
actually.
they're just so, there's like, you got bills to pay. Don't worry about it. Forget your bills. And it's like, dude, what the hell are you talking about? Like, you got to see some of these guys. It's incredible. And they always have these weird hairstyles and trims, and some of them are like gold chain. Just check out Baller Busters and then
I have to check it out. I have to definitely check it out. I love that idea though, because I've watched a lot of motivational speakers. Like even growing up, I was like obsessed with Tony Robbins and stuff. So the way people like act and those motivational speakers, there's a lot to do around that.
And it's fun. Well, Tony Robbins keeps it low key, right?
Yeah.
Tony Robbins is not shoving in a Lamborghini in your face. But what's happened is the sprawl of what Tony Robbins was doing with really trying to improve people's lives in some way. Tony Robbins is, in my opinion, is a very great speaker. He's very motivational. Is he like an ultimate success? I don't know, because he's been married 5 times. We have a different mindset of that. So like, I don't know about his personal life, but what's happening is he sprawled all these like young, do this now entrepreneurs that you say end up somehow getting busted by the feds or doing some of these things. And it's like, whoa, right? But collecting people's money. And I do think that there's like a good character persona in there somewhere where you could make fun of this, because they do have, like, some of these guys have millions of followers. I don't know if they're bought or not or what happens, but they're like, they're shaming people. They're telling people like, do this, don't do that, write this down if you want to be a millionaire tomorrow. Yeah. It's like, how can you be a millionaire tomorrow? You know what I mean? It's just, come on, you're barely paying your bills listening to this guy tell you that you're going to be a millionaire tomorrow. It's not realistic. All right. Let's talk about some of the biggest signs a company needs to be checked as far as like reality. In Silicon Valley, companies often get funded with some crazy, silly ideas that may not even be proven. You know what I mean? It's like, well, I have a better way to make an egg or something, or some crazy, thing that you don't need. Yet they're still funded.
Yeah.
Tell me your thought on that. Like, do these VCs, and this is part of your character persona, do they just throw money away on some of these startups hoping something sticks, or what happens?
I mean, VC is like a whole game. And if you know if you learn the dance, I'd say, then you'll do well. VC is all about making sure you know what to do when you meet like a VC, a partner, or whatever, right? For example, the moment you have interest from other big VC firms, or the moment you've raised a bit of money and you're like I need to raise a bit more to get there, or anything like that is gonna trigger a VC in a good way. And so it's all about learning the game of raising capital.
It's so interesting.
It's just a game. It's just a system. Like, it's just like, if you learn how to do that, you can raise as much capital as possible. I think raising capital, if you raise capital as a company, congrats. But I don't think, I'm not impressed I'm not as impressed as if you were making money. Because the truth is, I've been around the startup game for a while. Anyone can raise capital.
Yeah.
If you learn how the capital dance, you'll raise capital just fine. But if you are able to bootstrap yourself and then get to somewhere that is actually significant and making decent
profitable,
revenue,
maybe.
I think that's impressive. I think that's impressive, because time and time again, I see people raising millions of dollars and just a couple of years later not really getting anywhere.
And it's not there.
Yeah.
And then the VCs are like, what the hell's going on? It's incredible. I've seen that as well. It's like they'll fund a company that's not proven, or idea that's not proven. And I guess the mindset of theirs is, well, I could fund 10 companies X amount. We have a big fund. There's a lot of partners. But one of those companies could be a Uber or whatever. And all of a sudden we 10,000 times our investment, and we could lose on X, Y, Z, right? It's insane. All right. So we're going to talk next about a little bit of your growing up. Like, were you always funny? We're going to talk about AI, venture companies, and go from there.
If you want, like, there's also like, I have a lot of crazy stories. Like,
tell me, what stories do you want to share?
Like crazy stories, like meeting people, like doing. I think a lot of the things the best advice I have is like around like networking, like trying to meet people.
Okay,
like,
let's talk.
We can also talk about that. I've met people like Donald Trump, like incredible, like crazy people.
Let's talk about it right now.
Yeah, cool.
So Jason, I also wanted to know, part of your tech space here and part of being out on social media, you probably have to network a lot. You've met people. Tell me some crazy stories about the people you've met and how networking really is such a big part of the tech space.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've met a lot of people, and I think it's all about being like strategic with how you're reaching people. A lot of people I reach also in Silicon Valley, executives, tech CEOs of big companies, is always by finding a different approach than other people are taking. For example, I've used like Loom videos, especially a lot, to get to certain tech CEOs, as opposed to just like random, your typical message. A personalized Loom video in it with for example, a Notion page where you're sharing specific insights on a problem that a company's having is going to get you a meeting it's a lot more likely to get you a meeting than, for example, writing a message about how you're looking for something and you want to, to find something. So
Just a boring email or something.
just a boring email. So I find ways to like be strategic about my outreach. The craziest person I've met, I haven't actually used a Loom video to get to them, but the craziest person I met probably, and controversial, probably one of the most controversial people in the world, is Donald Trump.
You're kidding.
Yeah, so I met Donald Trump
Where?
back. So this was, I was 18 years old. This is a couple years ago. This is Brussels, Belgium. I'm in my room, summertime at my parents' house, and my dad tells me Trump is coming to Belgium. And my immediate thought is, I'm not a Trump fan or anything like that. I'm just kind of interested in this guy.
If I could meet Donald Trump, I'd meet him. Why the
Exactly.
hell not? I would
I'm
meet
interested.
Obama as well and anybody else. It's just a cool person to meet.
100%. I'm interested in the challenge of meeting him. And I was like, initially, I was like, what would it take to meet someone like that?
Yeah.
And then I like started doing research. I find his, every president has a public schedule. You like look at his schedule. I start tracking specific places he's gonna be. I start calling people, seeing if it's possible to get in. Eventually, I call one of my friends, and his dad is high up in the U.S. Embassy. And I'm like, is there any chance you can get me in a room where Donald Trump will give a speech? And he says, there's no chance. He's like, the list is closed a month ago. There's no way. There's no way. I wait a couple more hours. It's late at night. And then I get a call from them. He's like, hey, guess what? My dad knows you. He knows you're legit. I've got you a spot to see him speak in the U.S. Embassy in this room with about 100 people. Wow. And I was like, perfect. Now I want to meet him. And so the next day, I go early morning, and I have a strategy. I'm like, if I'm going to meet Donald Trump, I have to do something that's going to get his attention.
Yeah.
So I happen to have his book sitting in my room. I never even read it, funny enough, but I had it there.
You didn't tell him that.
And I was like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go there, and I'm going to try to show him that I have his book, because no one else is going to have a book there. And so I go to the U.S. Embassy. This is in Brussels, Belgium. I go there. I wait like 3 hours to get through security. It's insane. There's like security, like the whole entire area around that U.S. Embassy is completely like secured. And then I go and I get myself to the front of that speech, and the event starts, and Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State at the time, walks up. He says, hey, the president's going to give a quick little speech. We're going to make this very fast. We're excited to get to speak to you all. And then what happens? Donald Trump starts walking inside. He's like a couple feet away from me. And there I am with his book. And there's everyone else who's like super eager to meet him, but I have his book.
Are you
and I'm
holding
like,
it like this?
strategic, because now he's gonna have, all he has to do is see me with his book.
Yeah.
He's gonna notice me. And so I'm there, and I'm like slowly like showing him my book. I'm like, what's up, Donald Trump? And he sees me, and then he points at me, and he's like,
good job.
like, good stuff. Goes up, gives this speech to the audience, and then he looks at me again during the speech, and I'm like, yeah, cool, good stuff. In my mind, I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And then he walks off the stage, and there's like these there's an ambassador, there's some other VIPs he's supposed to go greet. He just ignores them, goes straight towards me, goes right towards me. He walks up to me, he's like, "You have my book. That's incredible." And I kid you not, I had a 3-minute conversation with Donald Trump while he was president of the United States, and he was like asking me a lot of questions about me. I was also like kind of like at some point I was like, you don't know who I am? I said, I was kind of messing with him too.
funny, dude.
And then right at the end, I'm like, all right, well, I read your book. Can I get a quick photo? Yeah. I grab a quick photo with him. Also, at this point, Melania Trump comes and starts listening to me too. She's there as well. So I grab a photo with both of them. Then he walks away. But the whole story, I think the biggest lesson I learned is like, honestly, I thought it was almost impossible to make that happen.
And you
it was
did.
literally the day before. But I just like had this vision. I was like, why don't I just try?
That's
just challenge
incredible.
myself.
First of all, that's
So, yeah.
incredible because you're passing through security. You're in a small room. You've been pointed out in the audience because obviously Donald Trump does like attention. I mean, he's flamboyant in a way. Love him or hate him, he's a hard worker in my opinion. And not only that, you got his attention for that amount of time where a lot of people are like really begging for his attention, whether they're from press or from opposition, whatever. That's incredible. Was security like totally around? Were you nervous when he pointed at you? Or what?
It was so funny because when he was talking to me, his security's like, "Sir, Mr. President, we need to go," and he's like, "Yeah, 1 second," and then he just kept talking to me. He doesn't care. He's like, "I'm going to talk to this young man who has my book and is excited to see me. So it's so funny. And then and then we're taking a photo, and like I kid you not, like I'm like touching his shoulder, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is.
Dude,
Because that was
this reminds me of two things. This reminds me of two events. There's a comedian that recently did a bid on Donald Trump talking about when they killed Abu Baghdadi. Did you see that?
I saw that.
That
yeah.
was so hilarious. The voice he did, he was like, Abu cried.
Yeah. Compared to like Obama and just how more. Yeah.
He's like, Abu cried. He's like, he cried like a dog or something like this. And I was laughing my ass off. But the second thing is, you said you put your arm around the shoulder of him. I saw Conor McGregor also on Instagram, the UFC fighter, he doesn't need an explanation, of course, but he put his arm around Putin.
I think I saw that. Yeah.
And some guy steps in, he's like, no. And then
was
he's like, oh
hilarious.
shit.
Yeah.
Because like, you never know. They don't care.
That's funny.
Who's next on your list to meet like that? If you could meet someone else, like if you could say, hey, I'm going to get through it, who would be one guy?
That's a great question. I'm confident that I can meet anyone at this point. I think also with time, as I build a bigger audience, I put myself more out there. I'm sure I can meet like all the people I've wanted to meet. When I was younger.
I'm gonna tell you, Michael Jordan for me. I feel like he's out of the media, right? His brand is so well built that he doesn't have to be on Instagram or keep promoting it or on TV. He actually probably doesn't like it looks like, because he's had it so much. But Michael Jordan is one. I would say David Beckham.
Okay.
He had a really good Netflix show recently, describing his life. For me, those two would be like, whoa. What about you, man? You got to throw somebody out there.
Gosh. Honestly, we talked about it before. I would love to meet Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
He seems like the kind of guy when you meet, his energy is really, really great. That's what I've heard from people who've met him. They're like, his energy. And I'm like,
It's
that's
incredible.
cool. I have to say, even meeting Donald Trump, like a lot of controversial things to be said about Donald Trump. I have to say, his energy when you meet him, it's something crazy. You can feel this.
You felt
crazy
an aura.
energy. Yeah.
You felt like an aura around him.
I can, and I'm sure. Yeah, it was really fascinating. I was like, wow, this guy has a presence. Is it the best presence? That's for you to decide. But
Politics aside, he has a presence.
Yeah.
He has like this aura. I agree. There's like, I bet if he walks into a room, whether you love him or hate him, he's in the room.
100%.
I mean, look at him walk into a UFC event recently, and then people are yelling, some people booing, a lot of people cheering. I've seen with Dana White. He was walking. Dana White's another guy I would want to meet.
That would be an interesting person to meet, yeah.
That's like an incredible guy. Maybe Elon Musk. Elon Musk, I feel like the conversation would be very technical, though.
Yeah.
It's almost like a chess game.
That's true. That's true.
You're probably like talking to Elon and you're playing chess without a chess board, because he thinks things through. He's like a processing computer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know. I totally agree. I think it wouldn't be the best conversation. You wouldn't be able to dive that deep, because you'd spend most of the time just being like, yeah, I think that. That makes sense. Like he's like a very like calculated, like, just talk to me, man. Have a conversation.
Turn off the open AI, Elon. Maybe he has a Neuralink installed already. We don't know about it. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Everything's getting tabulated.
Maybe.
You
can't know at this point.
I always think about that Neuralink. I was like, people one day may put a chip in their brain to like, like in your case, you have a very good charisma to you, right? But someone may not have it, and all of a sudden they download charisma into their brain, or someone wants to know jiu-jitsu or karate. All of a sudden they become a black belt without a year of training. You know what I mean? And it's like, what's going on with download? I always wonder if Elon Musk has one of those installed already, because he's always tabulating something and so forth. It's kind of crazy. All right, so we talked about who you would meet. Let's talk a little bit about, were you always funny as growing up, or were you, like, was humor part of your way to break the ice? I mean, twin brothers, you had to differentiate each other. And it's funny enough, it comes full circle to the point where you guys are doing a very similar thing, right? And at the same time, you mentioned earlier, your brother's like, hey, don't be doing stuff on private jets, right? Because that's kind of my thing. But were you guys, how did you differentiate each other, and were you always both humorous?
I mean, I think the key thing was we were always really good with accents.
Okay.
And I think when you're good with accents, you tend to be humorous because you're good at getting into a certain character and then being, for example, very sarcastic. Like the My Tech CEO is just, it's funny because it's so in character and you're laughing at the character and this, yeah. So I think we're good at getting into that. If I watch someone enough, I can kind of imitate them and get into their, into how they act and just present like that person. We both have had that skill really well. And honestly, we for a long time, we never knew how to use that skill effectively. I think one of the things that this is useful for is I'm a decent public speaker. I've done a lot of debates, especially growing up, and I didn't really think about how that could be used with content, especially with TikTok, which my brother cracked, 18 months ago when he started. But yeah, I'd say accents was the key thing that was a real differentiator from other people, other kids, especially growing up. And I realized there's something there I can leverage this in some way.
That's incredible. And it's, what I've learned about you and kind of what people should learn from this video as well is, one, you set a goal earlier to meet Donald Trump in this case. You said, I'm going to get through this room. And you did it and you planned it. And you also not only planned it, but you kind of made yourself stand out. So no matter what, in building content, you have to make yourself stand out. It looks like you got to be that one guy that's different in the room than the 100 other people. With your brother and you, the long-term trajectory of building this type of content or really building content, like right now it may not make as much money. I don't know. It's not my business, but what's the goal? Like, I'm sure your brother's getting hit up to do some potential like marketing or not direct marketing, so to speak, maybe wearing a particular shirt. Like, where does this lead? What are you guys hoping to get out of this down the road? A show, marketing, money? What's the goal?
Yeah, it's a great question, honestly. I don't have like a very specific strategy here on like, I want to be able to do X and Y. I think obviously like the only strategy I have is that I recognize that doing something in tech is smart because there aren't that many people doing it. Yep. And it's also just a valuable audience. Like I've met a lot of interesting people through My Tech CEO and been able to just leverage people who've watched my videos. A lot of really big tech CEOs watch my videos and they find it funny. And that's a great thing because now they've seen me. That's an interesting conversation starter.
And it's a good networking tool. So like when you, at one point, I feel like you're going to have a Rolodex of some high-end CEOs that are going to be able to either back you or give you an open door to another opportunity. That's incredible. Has your brother also kind of like, because his marketing is like, I am luxury, like I am rich. Is it a little different approach, would you say, in theory, than tech?
It is slightly different. I think actually he's also in an incredible space. I can't comment too much on the monetization side of things, but he actually has an incredible audience. He has incredible engagement, and so he does actually do some. He makes definitely like there's money to be made. There's been a lot of money made already on the monetization. But I think like both of us, the way we're thinking about it is we're not trying to grasp monetization right now. Yeah. We recognize that long term, if you're building a big audience, people have seen you. There's brand value in that. There's value in that. We can find ways to leverage that from a business perspective. I mean, for example, if my brother decided, right now, hey, I have over 1.7 million followers across TikTok and Instagram. I want to launch a luxury brand, whatever it is.
A product,
skincare,
whatever.
It would do well.
Yeah.
And that's because of the brand value.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think about it the same way. I actually, for me, what's more important than like monetization is I really want to be able to, at some point, go out of just doing humor stuff and start to bring more insights. I think it's really interesting when you approach building an audience by first doing entertaining stuff and then being able to do insights. I think it's hard. They're very insightful stuff. It's hard to get good traction on it. So I was like thinking like, why don't I just do entertaining stuff, which I know I can do from from the leveraging European Kid experience with my brother, and then do more insightful stuff as well along that. So I think that's kind of the plan too.
This goes back to, and I had guests on the podcast that are brand builders. Personal brand is something that all of these agencies have said is the growing number one trend. building a personal brand is as important. And in your case, like I'll just bring it back as your personal, like you may have a company named, whatever, XYZ, let's say. No one knows what that company is when they walk into a room in the beginning.
Totally.
But the personal brand, they may already know. They've seen your video. They've seen, you out there. They thought you were funny and humorous. They feel you could present. You mentioned you could speak and talk in public. So the personal brand component of investment or even in success is such a major component. And a lot of people that have come on the podcast said, hey, you may want to build a personal brand first before you build a business brand, whether you launch a coffee company, whether you're launching jewelry, makeup, cosmetics, whatever is out there. That's incredible. And I think you guys are really doing that. To get back to the cameras and the limelight and meeting people, were you guys always like, did you have a background in editing, video editing, cameras, or did you just kind of pick this up?
Absolutely not. No editing background whatsoever.
Wow.
And honestly, a lot of the videos, we edit them ourselves, like on CapCut. Like it's nothing fancy. And I think if anything...
Shout out to CapCut.
Yeah, shout out to CapCut. I mean, but if
they should be sponsoring us.
They should, honestly. But if anything, it's just showed you like, and obviously this has also been as a result of trends like TikTok coming into the game, but you can get millions and millions of views without the highest production, and in our case, especially European Kid, the way the content is done, it looks very realistic. That's part of the strategy on how to do viral videos, but it shows you can do things without a lot of expertise.
Without this big budget.
Exactly.
Right? Like people think I need a filmographer, I need a videographer, I need an audio editor, I need this, that, and you're basically saying, hey, throw that all out the window, focus on the quality of the content, understand who you're engaging, and really put out that direction and content that's going to resonate with that viewer.
Totally.
Constantly, I would say. You probably have to do this constantly and kind of keep it going as well. Do you ever feel like, I'm putting out content, but today's not the day. I don't think I could be as funny today as like yesterday's a different vibe. Do you ever get around that? Or?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have moods where I'm like, really want to shoot content. There's other moods where I'm like, you can't make me say anything right now. Like I don't want to be in front of a camera.
You're locked out.
Yeah, and that's fine. That'll happen. The key thing is like to build a brand, especially to build this personal brand, what I'm trying to build right now, you need to find excitement. You need to be excited by it, and you need to make sure you're tapping into a passion for putting something out. And so I'm always very wary of like, hey, if I'm not really enjoying this, then what can I do that I would enjoy this?
Good question to ask yourself.
So that's the key thing, because you just can't build a personal brand dreading the content creation side of it.
All right. You mentioned you're in San Francisco as well. It's a city I've moved to since I was 8 years old. I'm 40 years old now, so I'm very old. And I still go there sometimes. It's changed. We're not going to talk about the politics of it. I don't care. How's the dating life in San Francisco? Are you dating? Is this something that we should talk about or not?
I have a girlfriend.
Okay.
So it's, right now I'm not really dating around.
Okay.
But I was back at the start of the year.
And then she saw my text CEO and said, I better grab this guy before he blows up, huh?
It's exactly what happened. No, I'm joking. I don't even think she saw my content, funny enough. But yeah, no, dating in SF is interesting. I don't know what to say. I guess, I've tried the apps. I've tried meeting in person. But yeah, I'm very happy with the relationship I'm in right now. So
let's switch off that. Do people recognize you in anywhere you walk down in San Francisco, or are you not at that level yet? Or you're kind of getting some guy go, hey, aren't you that guy on TV? Do they mistake you with your brother like I did?
All the time.
Really?
Like I can't tell you how many hundreds of photos I've taken. People thinking I'm the European Kid.
That is so crazy.
The European, and that's one of the things that blew me away. It's like when we started the European Kid, and my brother especially was going really, really hard on that content. Like it's crazy to me. Like especially, and it actually really depends on where you are. So for the European Kid, if I go to like a high end kind of club or like a high end bar or lounge, like I will get tons of people recognizing me.
Wow.
Especially in a place like New York, like these like more wealthier places. It's honestly ridiculous, and it's funny to see how it went from like a year ago no one knew who I was, but now I can walk somewhere and people are like, I've seen your content. You're that French kid, right?
It's so funny. How
So,
do you
yeah.
deal with that? Do you go, no, that's not me. I'm the tech guy. How do you,
At first, I hated it.
yeah.
Because I was like, yeah, like this is an account that I started with my brother. Actually, he does most of the videos. Now I'm just like, yeah, it's my brother. I do another account. Check it out, MyTechCEO. And
what
I
do they
actually have
say?
gotten people recognizing that at MyTechCEO. It makes me so happy. I'm like, great, yes, that's me. I'm the MyTechCEO, not this guy.
Yeah,
So
he's my tech. Listen,
Yeah.
you two have you both have such an incredible story to tell. I think it's like, it's rare what you were able to achieve. I mean, this should be on like a big media network or something. You know
Yeah,
what I
thank
mean?
you.
Like to say both me and my brother have been able to captivate audiences in two different formats. Both identical twins, you guys mentioned,
Yep,
right?
yep.
So both identical twins, yet different brand building. You know what I mean? It's incredible. It's like such a cool story. I don't know. It's insane. Have you ever considered like, well, what if he has like, let's say he's on vacation, you could sit in for him and do a European kid video,
Yeah.
and he could vice versa.
I have done that.
Yeah.
I have done that. I've done some really cool trips, and I've literally shot videos. I kid you not, they've got millions and millions of views. I can point. I don't know if I should point them out, but there's some videos. It's just me, and people don't recognize it. They don't think this is the twin brother. It's like this is the standard guy that appears in the videos. It's so funny, and it's so funny because like my friends will know it's not me. Will know it's not him. So like, oh, that's funny. He looks a little different this time in the comments. I'm like, stop.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I don't know how you guys do it. That's just incredible from the standpoint of differentiating each other your whole life at one point, and
Yeah.
then kind of now having to do it on Instagram. I
Yeah.
find it
It's
fascinating.
funny, absolutely.
All right. Creating content is probably one of the hardest things to do consistently. What's your
Yeah.
schedule looking like? Like, how do you do it? Do you have to launch a video a week? Are you more focused on the quality of the video versus getting one out there every week, so to speak?
Yeah, I don't actually have I'm still figuring out a good system and a good plan. I always kind of look at the algorithm. I try to look at the videos that do well, what the algorithm enjoys and promotes. Right now, honestly, I just try to make sure I'm putting out at least 3 videos a week.
3 videos a week.
3 to 4
That's
maybe.
That's pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
And typically, how long is your video?
Very short, I'd say between 20 to 30 seconds, sometimes slightly more.
How
yeah.
much editing goes into that 20, 30-second
Actually,
clip?
a decent amount.
Yeah.
I mean, really the way I try to create my videos is I try to make them extremely engaging. So I'm always thinking to myself, what am I going to cut out of a video? I might film something for 2 minutes,
Yeah.
then I have to sink that down to 20 seconds.
Wow.
What's going to make sense to cut that out? Like it's always about simplify, cut this out, cut this out. What's going to hit the person the most?
How's that 20 seconds going to like blow their socks off, so to speak?
Exactly. What's the impression that's made on them? And a lot of times I'll edit a video and then I'll show it to people. They'll be like, "Oh, this was funny," or I'll show a part that I took out, and I'm like, "Oh, I thought this part you took out was good."
Wow.
So it's
So you're going through it.
It's a good, and then over time as you do this, you start to get an eye for the kind of content that does well. And now I have an eye for content that'll get 100,000 views or 1 million views. Or maybe 5 million views. Sometimes it's actually unpredictable. Sometimes you'll be like, wow, I got 3 million
Yeah,
views.
I've had that before,
Yeah.
where a video you think is going to do great, it flops, and then the vice versa. It's like, whoa,
Totally,
how did this
totally,
happen? What about your parents? Are they totally like fans of what you guys are doing? Are they subscribing or following you guys and commenting? What's happening?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely super supportive. I wonder sometimes if they realize the impact that we're having. You know, I think sometimes like, yeah, you can do your video right now, but sometimes I think they don't realize, and I realize this as also like being the twin brother, which means that if my brother got super famous, I would be famous too. 'Cause I'm the twin brother.
Yeah, you're
Realizing
like a
this,
copy.
I'm like, I don't think they realize the sheer impact, the sheer reach this stuff has. Because my parents are in some of the videos. My dad's in some of the videos. He doesn't realize those videos are getting millions of views.
That's so
People would
funny.
recognize him.
That's so funny.
And he doesn't get recognized a lot because he doesn't really hang out in those circles, or he's at a club or something going to get recognized. That's my comment on my parents. But otherwise, super supportive. It's
That
funny.
is awesome. And do you have a sister as well? Or just
I have a sister. Yeah, I have an older
okay.
sister
Is she
as well.
is she going to come out with a character or what?
Not yet. She's also been in some of the videos. But yeah.
Okay, very good. Do you see this going into maybe a spin-off with some type of, I've had guests on here that I thought were interesting. They're like, well, I'm shooting a pilot for
Yeah.
Netflix in regards to something. And do you see this potentially going? Would you even want that? Or
Yeah, maybe. Honestly, my whole thing is, I mean, I love business. I love building stuff. I love business. I think the skill set of content is really, really important.
Very.
I don't know if I want to go down the route of just being a content creator. I think it's just it steers away from some of the things that I love. I'd love to build a life around having a very successful business and then also being able to do content that in a certain sense I can leverage with the businesses that I'm building and multiple businesses ideally. That's how I kind of think about it. I think about it like I don't want to go all out on being content focused and like an actor because I have a lot more to bring than just to be an actor. And also, I don't like the Hollywood, the way the Hollywood acts and all those things. I think like what my brother especially, if he wanted to be in a show, what he's done is smart because now he has millions of people that have seen his stuff, hundreds of billions of views, over 1 billion, 2 billion views, something like that.
Wow.
Across those two accounts.
That's insane.
If he pitched that now to like any like media company,
they'd already he'd be in the door. He built his personal brand.
Exactly. And that's a lot more valuable than being like, I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to go and try for a bunch of auditions and see what I get. Like you got to be strategic about this. And I feel like if you're just an actor, you're limited to how much you can do in life.
Yeah.
And I have so many things I want to do in life.
you're by doing this kind of independently, no one's controlling you. You're not, typical Hollywood from what just I've seen growing up is you have to rub shoulders with the right people. You have to do these things to get in the next movie and so forth, right? But you're kind of controlling your own trajectory. You're controlling your own journey. No one can tell you what to do or not to do. And in fact, you have the power of your next video. You know what I mean? And that says a lot. And it also says it's kind of in line with Silicon Valley and also getting VC money and investment money. Once you get investment money and VC money, if your contract is not straight, they technically own you. They're not going to collect their money and not work or do whatever. You know what I mean? They're going to expect their return or they're going to push you in most cases from what I've heard. And by doing this approach of building your personal brand, I feel like you guys are in control. Totally. Is there ever a collab that you would do with you and your brother where you're both standing side by side? Has this been done already, or is this like
done? It's kind of funny. Like it almost confuses people. It just confuses people.
They think it's like an editing trick, right?
Honestly, and people are just super confused. Like, well, he has a brother. So we will do something down the line. I think if I build my audience especially a bit more, I want to do something really fun, like really funny, something that would go really viral.
Like a rich man meets a tech man that's also rich. And or like a CEO, and they're not.
Exactly, but you gotta take into account that like we are exactly the same. Like, so we gotta leverage that in some way. Like, even if it's, for example, like a tech CEO decides to duplicate himself, and then there's like
another one comes out, and
this is how you become optimally productive. Just duplicate yourself. And I spent $50 million on this clone of myself. I don't know, something like that would be funny.
Dude. There's so many ideas. Do you have people helping you write these ideas, or is it all in here?
I get like. Honestly, the best thing is like just speaking to people about ideas and like just talking about things. Like, what's something funny like we can talk about that happened to you recently? If I get in a good conversation with someone, I'll come up with an idea. I know a lot of times I just think of them myself, and I'll just think about like I know the structure of the video, so really it's just like, hey, what's the main concept, the main idea? Then what's the hook? What's maybe some of the filler stuff that I could say? Then what's a good like hook? A good ending. Yeah. That's honestly the structure. So I can just think of content now.
That's perfect.
So
you create a story and then in that structure. Let me ask you a question. Is the tech scene in Europe as big, or is it like, obviously we're in the mecca of it, so to speak, until companies were moving out, but do you see the MyTech CEO say traveling to Europe on paper, and or a club in New York and really? I mean, with the like a meeting. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with some crazy ideas that I think would be funny.
It would be funny. I think I definitely want to do more videos in Europe. Yeah. Going there soon, actually, and actually a decent amount of my audience is in the UK.
Oh, really?
It's based in London. Yeah, it's like split across New York City, London, San Francisco. I think those are the main cities. And then we also have some people in Nigeria who love my stuff, and India as well. So it's interesting actually. Yeah.
That's really cool. Let me ask you, do you have a pact with your brother? If one of you make it really big, the other one comes along for the ride, kind of like the show Entourage, where you know what I mean. You got your friends around.
Honestly, we're both gonna make it really big.
Okay, good.
So hopefully there's no
one
like
don't
pulling.
divide us. Don't divide
Yeah,
us.
we wanna both be extremely successful and be able to enjoy that success, monumental success
Together.
together.
That's awesome.
always been the vision from day one.
That's incredible,
Yeah.
man. That's incredible. All right, so let's talk about you're fairly young, because when you said when you were 18 and you said it was a couple of years ago, I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a question. If you could go back in time and kind of give yourself advice, what would that be? But you're so young. It's like
Yeah.
you're only talking to yourself a few years ago. You know what I mean?
I mean, I still definitely would give myself advice. I think the biggest advice for me has been like, you've got to really focus on your unique skill sets as a person. What's clear to me is that I've tried a lot of different things. I've tried building startups. I've tried thinking that I was technical, realizing I'm just not as good at it. You've got to focus what you're inherently good at. And like, one of the things I'm good at is this kind of skill set of being a good communicator. If I had done, I don't think I could have done TikTok 5 years ago, because I mean, TikTok itself is not what it is today. But you've got to focus on your inherent gifts and find ways to be strategic around that. Like, I could be in a 9 to 5 right now where I'm crunching code.
Yeah.
That would be like completely the opposite of what I should be doing.
Yeah. Or your
Because-
creative side would yell at you.
Exactly. And so my best advice is really follow that, and never, no matter how much money you're given, never listen to anything else, and never do anything that is going to shift away from that purpose or that thing that you know, hey, this is what I'm good at. I would have just focused straight on
Straight to
getting
that.
towards that.
So
Yeah.
maybe a little less distraction, so to speak, a little more zeroed in,
Yeah.
is what you're saying. You mentioned you were part of many startups in Silicon Valley. Why do you feel some of them have failed and some have succeeded? What is like, is focus one of those things, or what defines a successful company, or why did they succeed and why did one fail? Is it?
Yeah,
It could be many variables, but like in your experience.
There's a lot of variables. I think obviously like one of the main things is like you've got to look at where technology is going, the trends. You know, with AI and everything that's happening right now, a lot of companies are getting completely crushed, and a lot of companies are there's a lot of opportunities now too. There's so many variables to what's going to determine that you have a successful company. I mean, a lot of the people I know that have a successful company, it always comes down to, and people say this a lot, but it always comes down to them. Like, you can tell when someone's going to build a successful company because of their drive to make something work. I mean, I've met so many people
It's
who
like
are just
that
like,
aura you mentioned Donald Trump has,
exactly.
or you have. Your energy is through the roof, and you know that this person may fail at one thing, but really they're not giving up. They're really
Yeah,
driving
yeah.
and pushing. That's incredible. Yeah, I think you're right. It's a thing of timing, and it's a thing of being at the right place, right time, launching on time, and taking advantage,
Totally.
understanding your brand. Very cool. So MyTech CEO, last couple questions here. Where do you see yourself next year? 2024 is around the corner. By the time this podcast launches, which will probably close to that date, where do you want to see yourself, man, in 2024? Like, if you close your eyes and you go, man, this is where I am.
yeah.
What does that look like?
2024, we'll hit over 300K followers on Instagram. We're at 50K right now.
Okay.
I don't know if that'll be towards the end of 2024. We'll see.
But that's the goal, 300K.
That's the goal, 300K. 100K in the next, I'd say, 4 to 5 months. And I'd say there's a lot of like personal projects I can't really talk about, like a lot of things I'm trying to see through, but making a lot of progress on my own personal projects outside of just content. But yeah, I guess in terms of followers, 300K would be great to hit, and then eventually we'll hit 1 million, maybe the year after.
The road to 1 million. I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
You know, and it's totally doable, right? You've seen it with your brother. You create a couple viral videos, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden you're in the. So you just got to kind of get creative. So it seems like you want more attention on MyTech CEO. You want to create a bigger brand of that persona,
Yeah.
and really roll with it, run with it, and continue to make great content. I truly enjoyed this podcast. I wanted to thank you for coming on. It sounds like you've already accomplished. I mean, 50,000 followers is not a small thing. You know, it takes a lot to get to that level, and obviously 300,000, 500,000 and more. People really got to like you to follow you, and you got to continuously put out great content. So congratulations. I mean, you got my attention. You know, it was, you've got a lot of people's attention. It was really fun to find out that you have a twin brother. Personally, for me, I didn't know coming in. Like, you know what I mean? But I've seen some of the videos. I've seen your videos. I've seen his videos. I didn't put the two together, but somewhere down the line, I was like, you guys look alike. And that's incredible. I think this is such an incredible story, man. You guys got to write it together. Hopefully you both are very successful. I look forward to watching both of your videos. I think tech definitely needs to be made fun of. You're doing a good job out here because I've seen some of these personalities.
Yeah.
And I wish you the best of luck, man. Thank you so much for coming on the Ideal Hour, sharing these experiences. I think the audience also has picked up. Nothing is off limits, guys. If you could have Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, or anyone you want to meet, talk to you, show you more attention at a press conference than any other person in that room, and not have a name and still get in there, that says that you could pretty much do anything. Like, if you put your mind to it, you're going to do it. And when you have 300,000 followers, don't forget me, okay?
Absolutely not, Simon. I really appreciate you. And this is awesome what you're doing here, the people you're bringing on. And it was a pleasure being here. Thank you so much for the great questions.
Thank you, man. Thanks for coming. Cheers. We did good.
Nice.
I think we have a great podcast.